So don't let nobody tell you what you can and cannot do.
This is a journey about trusting yourself and God, no matter what.
All right, hey y'all, happy Vlogmas day 12. Today I'm going to do rewind. I was going to do a sit down talk with y'all about how I got into engineering and project management and construction and all the sorts. I figured since I also have to cook dinner, why not, combine the two, do both. So while I'm cooking dinner, I'm gonna go over how I got into engineering. So today I'm cooking some salmon and I'm probably just gonna throw some rice on with it because I don't have no sides for real. But we got some rice, and so I'm probably just gonna eat some salmon and rice. I really wanted some like spinach or broccoli or something. Some Brussels sprouts sound good too. Added with that, y'all, honestly, some potatoes sound. I ain't got none of that, so I don't even know why I'm talking about it. And I'm not about to go to the store right now, so we're gonna have to work with what we got at the house. So like I said, rice and salmon. It's not a food, nothing vlog. I'm not teaching y'all how to cook no salmon. I'm not teaching y'all how to cook none of that because if you don't know, I don't know how to cook for real. So you don't want to learn from me, basically, what I'm telling you. So I am going to cook me some dinner and we're just going to talk about how I got into engineering, how it all started, how I got into construction and project management, and basically like how I got into what I do for work now. So if you don't know, if you're new here, I am an architectural engineer. I have my bachelor's in architectural engineering, and then I have my master's in civil engineering. That's all you need to know right now, okay? And we're gonna get into the whole story of how that came about and why I got into it and all that stuff while I'm cooking. So that's what we're doing today, okay? And I'm not about to talk too long because I need to get going because I'm also recording another Vlogmas video, okay? But like I said, y'all, happy Vlogmas day 12. Let's get to cooking. So I don't know what seasoning I'm gonna put on this mess. These are the seasonings I got. I'm trying to figure out which ones I want, which one I want a taste of. Got some lemon pepper. I just don't know what taste I want for salmon. Sometimes I'll be wanting it like herby, then sometimes I'll be wanting it like, I don't know how to describe it, y'all. This is the salmon we got. I already unthawed it and everything so we can get to work. I'm ready to eat salmon. Before I clean those off, I need to go get some rice. Didn't know how to cook rice for the freaking longest. We got our little rice. So now I gotta get to cooking and I need to be talking about what I'm supposed to talk about. So let's get to it. I need to wash my hands first. Gotta wash them hands. Put my hair up actually. All right, y'all, so this story kind of starts. Dad ended up starting to build houses when I was younger. So at first he was just doing like investment property. He was getting other people to build it, but then he kept getting like cheated out money, and like what he was investing in would never like be finished and stuff. Like the contractor was basically messing him over, okay? So my dad started to learn how to do construction work, and so he got into construction. He ended up getting his own license, his own business, and he started doing his own construction for the houses, and then he started building for people. So that's how the business that he has right now started. But it started off as he just wanted to be a investor. He just wanted to be an investor in houses. But like I said, he was getting messed over by the people he was working with, like contractors and stuff, and he wasn't seeing the return because they kept messing him over. So he learned the business. So that's when I was younger, and when I got out of school, he used to take me to his job sites and stuff like that. That's really how I came to notice the construction and all that. Like this whole side of what we're talking about is through my dad, okay? My uncle was also engineer. So he went to school for architectural engineering and graduated at Tennessee State University. So both of them kind of played into it and how I knew about this degree and stuff. And kind of how I ended up being intrigued by this. Now that I'm intrigued because of my family, my dad and my uncle, and then just seeing the houses, like, cause like he would take me after school. So when he picked me up from school, we would go check on all the job sites and stuff. And so I was just intrigued. Like I come one day as a child and there's nothing there. And then I come back a couple weeks later and there's a house there. Like, well, not a whole house, but like framing and stuff there. Like that was just intriguing to me, like, as a child. Even now, it's just intriguing. I love to see a house go up from ground up. Like that is just so, I don't know. It's just so amazing to me. So that got my interest. Then I ended up going to high school at a school that had an engineering department. And so I did classes in the department from my freshman year to senior year. So I took a class each year. I think my freshman year class was like intro to engineering. Then it went to, I think sophomore year I took principles of engineering. And then junior year was like civil engineering or something like that, civil and architectural. And then I ended up taking in my last year 2 engineering classes. So I literally was one of the few people that finished the whole engineering certificate for my high school, because there's very few people that did all 5 classes that they offer, because you're only there for 4 years. Not many people gonna take 2 classes for engineering unless they just really want to. So there's only a few of us doing that. I'm trying to remember the name of the classes, but I know one of the classes in my last year was like engineering design and development. So I did engineering classes in high school, so that kept my interest and like solidified me wanting to go into engineering. And I was already kind of intrigued by construction because of my family and stuff. So I decided in high school, like, that's for sure what I'm gonna do after taking all those classes, y'all. And oh, I do want to say the crazy part is my high school teacher, one of my high school teachers for engineering, he actually basically told me like, I don't know if this is for you, because in one class, I think my sophomore year in high school, I was struggling with some class, some engineering class. It might have been principles of engineering that I was taking with him, and I was struggling. And basically like told me, well, if you're struggling like with this, maybe you shouldn't go into engineering. And it goes to say, because what am I right now? Engineering, okay? So don't let nobody tell you what you can and cannot do, okay? Yeah, I then went back and now I have 2 degrees in engineering at that. Don't let nobody tell you what you cannot and can't do. So when he said that, y'all, I'm the type of person, if you tell me something like that, you betting against me, I'm gonna work even harder. So I went even harder in that class. And like I said, I ended up completing all those classes for the engineering department. I got into Tennessee State University. That's the only place I applied to. Literally, I just wanted to go to Tennessee State University. I wanted to stay home in my hometown in Nashville, so I didn't apply nowhere else. Easily got in. The day I applied, I got in. And then my engineering department in college, they had a, back up, I'm skipping a few parts. Because also in high school, we did a lot of like engineering programs. They had a lot of programs. So like I participated in the ACE mentorship program. If you're into this stuff, maybe you'll know. But it's architectural, construction, engineering mentorship program. They had that in my high school, so we did that, and that also led to more interest in the construction field, because they had people from managers and all that stuff from construction companies come help us with an end of the year project basically. So they helped us and we worked on it for like the whole year, and then at the end of the year we would present the project, and they even gave us scholarships, y'all, the ACE mentorship program. I ended up being chosen for one of the scholarships my senior year, because I think I participated 2 years in the ACE mentorship program my junior and senior year. I also did an entrepreneurship program at Tennessee State University when I was in high school through my high school. So basically I participated in a lot of engineering things. Like my whole thing was engineering. That's all I did, y'all, in high school. Like my extracurricular activities had to do with engineering. That's the only thing I did outside of my main like courses was engineering programs. I was obsessed. I just knew this what I wanted to do, and I had to make that happen. So everything I did, like I said, the ACE mentorship program, the entrepreneurship program, it all revolved around engineering. I didn't play no sports or nothing. I was literally all about my engineering. Okay, so after that, like I said, I applied to CSU. First of all, let me do something with these stamens. I ended up applying for a summer program that they have for incoming.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
For incoming freshman engineering students, they had a program where they selected like 10 incoming engineering students, and they let you stay on campus and like go through a program of like basically getting ahead for your engineering courses. Basically, you was in school for a month, and it was the month of June before you started school officially in August. But it's basically like to get you acclimated, like ahead of the game, meet your teachers. You start doing a lot of classes. They taught us physics. So basically they just got us a little bit ahead of the game. So when we started in August, we would be, acclimated a little bit better. This year, it ended up being 11 students. At the end of that program, I ended up getting an award for because they broke it up into 4 things. So 2 things. It was 2 people, they got awards for physics, and 2 people who got awards for our math classes, like calculus and stuff like that. So he ended up choosing 4 people out of the 11. They got little awards for doing best in whatever at the end of the program. I was one of the ones that got the physics one, which y'all, dude, physics actually wasn't as hard for me as calculus was. Calculus kicked my butt hard. But my friend ended up getting, we're still friends to this day, she ended up getting the award for calculus, and she ended up doing really well in calculus. So she was she helped me in calculus and she needed help in physics, so we helped each other in physics, and she helped me in calculus, back and forth. So it was real cool. So that's how I got basically into school in undergrad, okay? So I'm at undergrad now at TSU. I'm staying on campus. I'm going to classes. Honestly, my freshman year was pretty darn easy. I also came into some credits for engineering. I did some certifications and stuff during my high school through the engineering department. So I was kind of already set up, and I took some AP classes and stuff during high school. So I had some credits already rolled over. So I got to skip some classes. As well as if you come in with a certain ACT score, this matters especially for engineers, but if you came in with a certain ACT score, you started out in calculus. Which is really good, y'all, because if you have to start out in algebra, college algebra, and take 1, 2, all that, and then go to calculus, for engineers, we have to take calculus 1, 2, 3. We took differential equations. We had a whole lot of math to do, and they're all prerequisites for each other. So you can't take calculus 2 without having calculus 1. You can't. And then a lot of your engineering courses, you have to have those basics already done. So calculus 1, 2, and dang near 3 before you get into the hard engineering courses like junior and senior year. So dang near, if you don't start out in calculus 1 your freshman year, you're already going to be kind of behind. And I would take summer classes too, y'all. So I was taking summer classes. I was trying to get through it. So I ended up, after high school, put some oil and seasonings. I'm gonna come back to y'all. Let me do this real quick. Y'all, as you can see, I cannot freaking multitask. Horrible multitasker. So yeah, we gotta take a break for a minute. Let me get the salmon in there and rice boil and water boiler for my rice. Then I'll talk back to y'all, because we ain't about to be eating because I'm talking so much. But we basically almost at the end of the story anyway, so. Got my water over here waiting for it to boil. Now we can talk. All right, y'all. So now we back. We're back. I got the salmon in the freaking oven, in the air fryer, and I'm waiting on the water to boil for my freaking rice. So let's get back talking. We at school at Tennessee State University for architectural engineering, and yeah, I started participating in organizations. One of the main organizations I participated in was Architectural Engineering Institute. I ended up being secretary at one point and then eventually became president. But outside of that, like I said, I took a lot of summer classes so I could get ahead. And I ended up being like, last semester, I literally only had 2 classes. And I graduated in 4 years. I know a lot of people are not used to that. Engineering degrees, a lot of people round it up to 5 years. It usually takes people 5 years. No, baby, I was getting out of there, okay? Really, if I wanted to, I could have. The way I had did so many summer classes and came in with some credit and all that, I really could have did 3.5 years. But I didn't want to do that. I would rather just finish. I was already pushing it for the most part. A lot of people say, 4 years, why you rushing in for an engineering degree? But that's when I wanted to graduate. Everybody else in my class graduated in 4 years. That's not in my degree. I want to graduate in 4 years. So I was cool with the 4 years. I didn't want to push it and try to get 3.5 years. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. But I could have, because literally my last freaking semester, I only had 2 classes. So my last semester, I had 2 classes. I ended up doing a co-op with Clark Construction here in Nashville. And I ended up working on one of their projects in the Gulch. If you are from Nashville, you might know. It's called Albion in the Gulch. It's like an apartment type downtown, kind of downtownish apartment complex. And yeah, I worked on that as an intern, y'all. I might throw in some videos from there. I mean, that project been done with, so people live there and stuff now. So I don't see the harm in posting the videos I have from there. But I mainly did a lot of checking the basically MEP work, making sure everything was in line with where it's supposed to go. So the person I was paired up with, that's what she did. She checked all the, making sure before the stage that I was in when I did the co-op, they were in the stages of just now pouring concrete for the different levels, each level of the building. And so before they poured the concrete, they would have to check off, make sure all the plumbing and everything is in its designated areas. So she would have me go up there and check. And y'all, at this point, when I was working, when I was doing my co-op there, you literally had to climb ladders to get to each of the buildings because there was no, yeah. I was climbing ladders, y'all. It was, or you had to go up you could use the stairs that they had, the construction stairs, to get to a certain level. But once you got to one point, you would have to go up ladders. It was inevitable. So I was climbing hella ladders up these levels. It's an apartment complex, so it's a lot of levels. So getting my work at it, y'all. But that was the main thing I did when I was there. So helping her with her work, as far as make sure all the, she was, like I said, she was over at MEP. The biggest things I remember from that job is having to go through all that and looking at the plans and make sure everything lined up. But yeah, I put some videos in here for that job. All right, it's cooking up. Let me finish this. And now, seeing that I passed that, that's so cool to me. So after that, they offered me a job, but I ended up not going with them. I ended up going with another company. I just felt like maybe they would have been a better fit, everything they had going on. And I ended up going with them, and I worked at the Nashville airport on the international arrivals facility. So I did that. My name would have been a field engineering. So before this, when I did my co-op with Clark, I was labeled as a project engineer. So a lot of my hours were in the office. I only went out to the field to check and make sure that the field did what it says on the drawing, okay? Most of the stuff that we did was going over paperwork and talking to people, basically. It wasn't exactly, her job wasn't a field engineer. She wasn't in the field. She just went out there to check the field's people work, the double check, basically. But when I got to the company I ended up working after college, I was a field engineer. So I was in the field all freaking day long. The crazy part is I ended up being put on the site work of the airport project. So I ended up being put, every field engineer they had, I think it was I can't remember how many of us it was, but less than 10. And we all got put on specific areas that were our areas to watch. So mine ended up being the exterior and the freaking site work, y'all. So I was literally outside all day. Some people had certain areas of the building, so they was inside, even though they was in the field, they was inside. I just happened to be the one unlucky one that gets put outside. But it was cool. I learned a lot, y'all, especially at the time. I ended up going back, when I started my job there, I ended up going back to school in August. I started my job with them in June. I went back to school in August for my master's, and that's when I started my civil engineering degree. So I also I did have an internship this summer before I started my senior year, and that was with Turner Construction, but we not gonna talk about that, okay? The project was, if you don't know, if you're new here, I've said it before though. So I ended up working at a hospital for that internship, and we were renovating their emergency room areas. For the most part, it was different areas, but that's the main one, that kind of stood out. It's literally emergency area, crazy, y'all. And this was during COVID time, kind of aftermath of COVID. So it was still a whole bunch of people that was sick in hospitals. The hospital was overcrowded. I used to, when we would walk through the hall to get to where our project was, we literally walking past patients in the hallway. Some hurt, blood, all types of stuff. It was an interesting experience, y'all. I don't know if I have any videos from there though. but if I do, I will put it on the screen. But like, fast forward, we're not gonna talk about it too much. If y'all have any questions at the end of this video and y'all want me to elaborate on anything, or you just have a question based off of what I just said, I will make a separate video answering all questions. I just want to get the, the whole story out on how I got into, my field, basically. Fast forward to me working my real job, and at the same time, I was also going to school for my master's degree in civil engineering. So I went back to Tennessee State University to get it because they offered me a full ride, basically, if I did their STARS program. They don't have it, I don't think, right now anymore, but basically, if you did this program called STARS, that they would pay for you to finish your degree. You had to take like different, we had little requirements to fulfill for being in the program. It's just like little seminars we had to attend and different stuff we had to do, but it wasn't too much for them to be, paying for our whole school, paying for our whole degree. Like, they wasn't asking for too much. So yeah, I got my degree paid for, and I worked at that job at the same time for the most part until they ended up putting me on night shift, and I just did not like it. I was already, my first few months was cool, but then it just started getting tiring, y'all. The hours that I was working, and then they had us working on the airport. I was working from 6 to dang near 6, and then I also, like, sometimes they would have us working night shifts, sometimes not sometimes, but we had to work some weekends, and then they was having me switch out with people for night shift. It was just getting to be a lot, and then they also wanted you to participate in other stuff. Like, baby, if I'm there 12 hours Monday through Friday, I come some nights, I come on some weekends, baby, that's enough. I don't need to see y'all no more, okay? I promise you I don't. Yeah, that goes into a whole nother discussion. If y'all want more questions, I can talk about, if y'all want me to elaborate on any experiences, any internship, co-op, or the job, I will, but I'm trying to make this quick and sweet for y'all. But yeah, I worked there for about a year, and I left because I just couldn't take it. They ended up putting me on night shift, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't adapting to night shift. On top of the fact, y'all know I'm getting my freaking master's. So I didn't have time to wait for me to adapt with my sleeping schedule and all that. And it was throwing me off. And I was also getting to a point where I needed to lock in on my thesis. And I just wasn't adapting quick enough for my sleep schedule. And I'm not a night person. I'm a grandma. I've never been a night person at all. Like, every time it's dark, I'm ready to go to sleep. So it just wasn't a good fit for me. And I guess they didn't want to move me. So yeah. So then I ended up working for my dad's company, coming, full circle. And that's when I started doing the project, running the projects and stuff. So I would have different projects, like, he's over all of it basically, but I would run the project like the day-to-day and all that stuff, make sure materials are there and all that, and overseeing the work, creating the schedule, the budget and stuff. He would always have the, final look over. But yeah, that's what I've been doing basically ever since. Y'all know I just passed my contracts license for Tennessee, so I'm currently working on starting my own company. And I don't want to build for nobody. So for this, my company that I want to start, I want to build for myself and keep it as investment property. But yeah, basically building for myself and keeping it. That's what I want to do, and I'm working on my business for. That's kind of where we at right now, as far as, like, that's kind of my whole career, how we got here. Now I'm working through the part of actually getting the business started and up and running for myself. And yeah, so that's the wrap it all up, y'all. I'm about to see how this salmon look. I'm about to put this rice on, and I'll show y'all the end result of me eating. But that's it for the story of how I got into engineering, construction, and all of the sorts. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make a separate video answering any of those questions. I just feel like this was a great, start off. See y'all. Well, actually, y'all about to see my food, so after that, see y'all. The salmon's actually decent tonight, I ain't gonna lie. That's real good. Yeah, we still waiting on this god freaking rice. But